So I've been in the car for hours because I had this emergency. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I listened to this because I was in the car for so long. I listened to this YouTube podcast. Wasn't any well-known podcast, but it had this this author and writer for 15 years with the New York Times, Christopher Hedges, on there. This was a very long interview. I listened to all of it. He's very articulate. He's obviously hates Trump. He's a outright socialist. He said that he's not about America's value, the traditional values and all that. He sees Christians as the biggest danger to America. So not recognize, doesn't want to recognize the Pilgrims or wants to make up whatever history he wants to about that. But I'm bringing this up for a reason because I said a while ago that there were, long before 1776, there were like 7 universities that got in here right away. So the Pilgrims came in 1620. And then it was shortly after that like these universities came in, Harvard, Yale. And Harvard and Yale had divinity schools. So, and the Puritans, which were, they were part of the Pilgrims, they started out at Harvard, I believe, at the divinity school teaching about Jesus. These were the people that knew Jesus. If you read any of the Pilgrim stuff, I've done tons of videos on YouTube, even on this channel probably about it. About they unlike the 1776 founders, the Pilgrims knew God. Like they were very, you can tell in their writings. So it just everything was about Jesus. So in their everyday lives. So they went on to teach what they knew, and then they quickly got out of Harvard because they went on their own divinity path. So because they were always tied to the crown, these universities, that's the reason most of these universities and many other ones, not all of them, but most of them, don't really stand up for America's traditional values. Even this Christopher Hedges was saying that he had spoken at some economy class at some university, and he said they were straight up Marxists. He's like, I'm not a Marxist. He's like, but all those students were Marxists. So that's what the universities are training. They're certainly not teaching the true values about America or the true history. They're teaching Marxism and communism. And he even said that sometimes communism needs to be used to get the politicians in line. So he went to the Harvard Divinity School. His father was a Presbyterian minister, and he, because he went to the Divinity School as a Presbyterian, has a degree in that. I don't know if he's ever worked in a church. He's pretty much worked as an author and writer and all this, the typical socialist liberal stuff. But I realized listening to this, the socialists have no self-awareness. They're all higher educated, like the liberals. Most of them, that get interviewed on these podcast type platforms. I mean, they're very articulate. They are interesting to listen to. You even agree with some of the things they say, to a certain extent, anyway. But then, with the most basic things, he gets it wrong. So, and here's who Christopher Hedges is. So he refers to Trump as a fascist. Make it make sense. It does not. You put him next to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, a fascist is a Mussolini or a Hitler. They're dictators. There's nothing Trump did when he was in office that was even close to a dictator. But I think these people have been brainwashed by the university themselves to become socialist, Marxist, whatever it is, that they lack that self-awareness to recognize that when they say fascist about Trump, it doesn't make sense. There was nothing he did that even was remotely close to being a fascist. But he also says, Trump's a scumbag and a sleazeball. and a criminal and a fraudster, okay? And as I was listening to this, and not being judgmental, just thinking, how can there be this big disconnection with somebody as intelligent as him? And I realized that I think these socialists, liberals, when they call Trump all these names, it's really who they are. They're projecting how they see themselves onto him because they don't have self-awareness. Somebody like him, I mean, he can, any other time of the day, he can tell you what a fascist is, yet he refers to Trump, he refers to Christians as fascists, all Christians, because he equates every Christian with Christian nationalism, and he says Christians are the biggest danger to the country. And he says that Christians engage in magical thinking. Okay, let me show you the Harvard Divinity, one of their main halls. Yeah, you could say, it just reminds me of Harry Potter. But more than that, if you want to go and get a master's degree of divinity, you will be a jack of all trades. Master of Divinity students often speak of answering a call. It can be a call to minister in a wide range of religious traditions, but there are many other calls that they have too: hospital and hospice chaplain, social justice work, climate activist. Whatever calls you, a Master of Divinity degree from Harvard Divinity School will open your mind and heart and train you for a lifetime of service. So it seems like a big waste of money, because even though on his resume or when he's being interviewed, this Christopher Hedges or any of these type people that do this, they could say, well, I have a degree in ministry as a minister in Presbyterian. It doesn't mean you know anything about the Bible, because you didn't go to the True Teacher, you went to Harvard. I mean, even the Puritans knew to get away from you guys when you started going down this path, because they go so far as this. Harvard elects atheist as new chief chaplain, defying school's origins. I mean, make it make sense. So anybody that comes out of the Harvard Divinity School or Yale Divinity School, you're really, I mean, they can call themselves theologians and say, oh, I have all these degrees, and you may academically understand the Bible or whatever sect of religion you're focusing on, since it says that a master's degree, it means you can minister in a wide range of religious traditions. Well, no wonder there's such a problem in the churches. And I've said nobody knows the Holy Spirit, and because that's who they should have went to. But it's likely why the Crown brought the universities in. It was a great way to mass mind control a bunch of young kids, and I would say Christopher Hedges was one. Or because they're never about the history of America. They don't like that. They see that masculine stuff. They hate all of that. To his credit, he doesn't like Kamala. He hates Trump, but he said that Kamala is just a corporate politician. She'll serve corporate's interest. He said that, and again, there's no conservative to him. He's socialist. He even said he's a radical socialist. He said that the Democrats have taken the power away from the people, and they did with Joe Biden, what they did with putting Kamala in. Because he said the people that made this decision were all the big donors to that campaign. And that's true. The elites, the establishment, they give millions of dollars, and they said, nope, Joe Biden's numbers are too low. We're going to transfer it to Kamala Harris. He said, disregarding every Democrat or liberal in this country, disregarding you completely, and just saying, nope, we gave the most money, we control it, we control the party, we're putting Kamala in. And he's right, he's right about that. So he said she's just out to serve her own interests. I think her own career advancement. I think most people know that too. So it's just, he's very articulate, knows his stuff, but yet this hate at Trump and these things that don't connect for why they hate Trump, it's like they don't even want to look into any of his presidency. So don't listen to the theologians out of Harvard or Yale. They're atheists.